Hello everybody, my name is Romke Rouw. It's wonderful to be here and it's truly an honor to be at this first conference of the Synesthesia Society of Africa. I hope many more will follow. And today I want to talk a little bit about what is synesthesia, perhaps give a little bit of background information. And I want to start with a question that might seem obvious to you or might seem really weird question to you. And that's the question, what's the color of the letter A? Now you might think, well, of course, it's black, right? It's a black color of the letter A. But for some people, a certain letter will always have a particular color. And that color just goes together with the letter A. And if you have synesthesia or you don't have the synesthesia, I want you to think about a color that fits well with this letter. And I will come back to that later. So for people with grapheme color synesthesia, a certain letter will always have a certain color. And synesthesia is when a certain sensation will evoke another sensation. And that sensation is just automatic and fast. You don't really have to think about it. It's just there. It's something that makes sense. When you have synesthesia, if you recognize this, it might be interesting to go and check in your family, because often it's running in the family and you might discover that family members have the same type of synesthesia or a different type of synesthesia, because for every individual, what you have, the certain associations that you have is different, is specific for that person. Another characteristic of synesthesia is that it's consistent. Once you have a certain set of associations, then you will often remain having that exact type of associations. And as a lot of synesthesia starts early in life, you might have that particular set of associations your whole life. So it might be interesting if you have it and it's running in the family, you can have a discussion between a mother and a child of what kind of colors do you have? What is for you a color of the letter A? And we can check the consistency of the colors with color pickers, such as this one, Synesthesia Battery. And as you can see on the right-hand side, when a synesthete will pick a color 3 times in a row, even after years, they might still pick the exact same color, because for them that is what goes together with that letter. It's interesting to find that when people have something special or different, others tend to think about it easily as if it's a disease or illness or not good to have that. And synesthesia, that's exactly not the case. A lot of people with synesthesia will tell you how it enriches their world and it helps them, and it could even improve their performance. And that is definitely the case for a lot of the famous synesthetes that we know. For example, Franz Liszt, who as a Kapellmeister would say, more purple, gentlemen, more purple. So he was actually using his synesthesia to enhance the performance. And the same goes for Nabokov or Feynman or Pharrell Williams. You might know him from the song Happy. And they say, well, actually, we can use our synesthesia to, for example, understand and remember formulas or to come up with new musical ideas. It enhances the genius of these people. So these are clear examples of how having an additional sensation should not be viewed just as a disease or an illness, but it could even enhance your performance. And we have also found that in our scientific research, where synesthesia can enhance memory performance, or we found an example of generally increased intelligence. It's not a large effect, but it definitely shows that the synesthetes can have an advantage of their synesthesia rather than a disadvantage. And I'm sure Professor Jamie Ward will talk about this in his presentation as well. Where the synesthesia come from? Well, of course, if you have a sensation or an experience, it must have to do something with the brain. And indeed, we found that both in the structure, the gray matter, the white matter, and in activation patterns, the functioning, you can find that the synesthesia is there and it can show effects in the brain. So when you see a color with a letter, then the brain will respond to that, because for the brain there's something happening there. And we find that over and over again in our studies when you study the brain, that you find effects of synesthesia there. Now maybe you don't have synesthesia and that doesn't seem obvious that a letter could have a color or a smell could have a shape. But we all have a little bit of synesthete inside. So I want you to now discover your inner synesthete. And the question I'm going to ask you is, lemons, are they fast or slow? So that might seem like a stupid question, but if you really think about it, what is a lemon fast or slow? Of course it's fast. Lemons are fast. Is that because of the round shape, the rolling or something? Well, think about a potato. A potato is not fast, right? A potato is slow. So even it doesn't seem to make sense, we all have these sort of associations, cross-modal correspondences. And that is because it just helps to structure and organize the enormous number of information, the enormous number of events and the enormous amount of information that we have in our daily life. And to get that organized, we structure it in a certain way. So as a finish, I would like to stress that a lot of the research now is on English-speaking synesthetes and also even a lot of English-speaking researchers. And it would really be very good if we could enlarge that a little bit. And this is Nick Root, and he is doing research on synesthesia in different languages. We have a large international collaboration. He is a postdoc with me now. And we can find how useful it is to look at different languages. So for example, one of the things we found is that there's this effect where the letter A often is red, tends to be red. And for some of you, you might have recognized this when you thought about a color with the letter A. For some of you, you might have thought of a red or reddish color, because we find that both in synesthetes and in non-synesthetes, that is often the case. Of course, for some of you, this might not be the case. And we could trace why this is the case because we could compare it in different languages. And the same is happening, not only we find something interesting on synesthesia research, but we can also find interesting effects on languages, language-specific effects or universal effects, because we can compare the different synesthetic colors across languages. So this is also an invitation. If you're interested in this, perhaps you have access to synesthetes who speak African languages, or you have access to a large group of participants, or you would be interested to perhaps join the collaboration, please drop us a line and we'll get in contact. And it would be really great to get to know more people interested in synesthesia research. So that was my part of this. I'm really looking forward to attending the rest of the day. And I wish you all, I hope, of course, to meet you in person later on. I wish you all a very enjoyable rest of the conference.